Hey everyone, this is a review of 7.5 worksheet. Remember, ignore these titles up in the top corner. They will not always match the way that I label them. Simply just look at the problems in the sheet and match them to yours. Let's go over number one here first. It's saying, let's start out with here, it's giving us a similarity statement that triangle EFG is similar to triangle WXY. So we already know these triangles are similar, so first, it's asking us, question A, which angle corresponds to angle X? Well, we just need to look at the similarity statement. We can see angle X up here, and we say angle F is in the same position. Order matters in the statement, so angle F does. So we're going to say angle F. It says, what is the measurement of angle W? Angle W is going to be the same measurement as angle E, and we can see here that angle E is 32 degrees, so we can see that angle W is also 32 degrees. Angles in similar figures are congruent, they don't change. Angle Y, well, angle Y is the last angle on the inside of this triangle that we do not know, so we can simply add the two angles together and subtract them from 180. So I can say that 180 degrees minus the sum of 128 plus 32 degrees. And if we add those together, we should be getting 160 degrees. So 180 minus 160 is 20 degrees. Angle Y is 20 degrees. Next, it says, question C, which side corresponds to GF? Again, we can just use the similarity statement. I can see that GF and YX are going to correspond with one another. GF and YX will correspond to one another. So that's going to be my answer there. Side YX does. And finally, it says, what is the measurement of EF? So I'm going to use a proportion to solve for this. I can see from the statement that EF will correspond with WX. So EF will correspond with WX. I'm just looking at the statement. And now I need to find two other sides that correspond with one another. So let me highlight those. So I'm going to say that EF corresponds with WX. We already know that YX and FG correspond, which means the last two remaining sides, EG and YW, must correspond. And you can see that we know the measurement of EG. It's 31 and YW is 9. So that's our ratio that we want to use. We want to say that EF over XW is in proportion or equal to EG over YW. So let's write that, EG over YW. Okay, now we're just going to substitute. So EF is what we are solving for, right? So I'm going to say X over WX is 6 equals EG is 31 over YW, which is 9. And we are going to cross multiply and solve. So 9 times X is 9X, and that will be equal to the other cross product. 31 times 6 should give us 186. And we're going to divide both sides by 9. And that should give us 20.6 repeating, I believe, if my math is correct. Check me on a calculator. Pretty sure that I'm right, though. And we can just round that, so we can say that EF equals 20.7. And inches is the units that we're using for this problem. Let's jump down to number 5. Number 2 is review. Go look at previous videos that I've made that cover questions like that. Questions 3, 4, and 5 are all pretty similar, but I decided that we're going to do number 5 here. So it says, are the two triangles above similar? So we've learned about the angle-angle theorem at this point. So you can see that as of right now, we have one pair of angles that are congruent, 24 degrees, but we don't have another pair. However, we can figure out that we're missing an angle here. So maybe if we found that angle, it could match the 128 degree angle in the other triangle. So again, we need to add these two angles together and subtract them from 180. So I'm just going to say 180 minus the sum of 28 plus 24 degrees. And that gives us, this is 52. So 180 minus 52 does give us 128, which tells us this angle is indeed 128 degrees. And now that we have that, we can see that we have two pairs of angles, right, that are congruent to one another. Therefore, these triangles are similar. So that's what you want to say in this proof right here. I'm not going to write it all out, but you can listen to my words and just make your own proof. It's basically a since something happens then statement. So you should say something like this. Since there are two angles in triangle EFG that are congruent to two angles in triangle YXW, then we can say that these two triangles are similar because of angle similarity theorem. You must always be giving a reason, always. Okay, let's move on. We'll do one more. Let's look at number 6 here. It says, a student stands so that the top of their shadow made by the sun lines up exactly with the top of the shadow from a nearby flagpole at point C. Using angle theorem, prove that the triangles are similar. So you can see here we have two triangles that are created. We have this smaller triangle here, right? And then we have the actual larger triangle itself. That's the two triangles that we're talking about, and they're broken up here. That's what these two triangles represent. So let's label them appropriately. So in the larger triangle here, BC, if I look at the diagram, that's 24. We have a 90-degree angle here. And we're trying to find the height of the, choosing from the top, we're not trying to find the height of the flagpole, we're trying to prove that they're similar, excuse me. So in DE, we have DE is 6 and EC is 8. This is also a 90-degree angle. So let's prove that the triangles are similar. Well, do you see how they both share this angle C, right? Both triangles share that angle. It's the same angle in both triangles, right? Because they're overlapping. So that means that those angles have to be the same then, because they're using the same angle. So I can mark that in my figure down here. You can see that I can mark those two angles congruent, right? So I have two pairs of angles that are congruent. I have a pair of 90-degree angles, and then I have these other angles that we know are the same measurement. Now, we don't know what the measurement of them are, but we know that they are indeed the same because they are the same angle. So therefore, in your proof, just like the previous problem, you should be writing a since-then statement. Since, you should say, since we have two congruent angles in ABC, you can say we have a pair of 90-degree angles, and then they share this angle, right? Then that means, then we can say that triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEC because of, you should always give a reason, angle similarity theorem. So basically that's a paragraph that you're writing. So I'm not going to write that. You can rewind and listen to my words and you can make your own paragraph. The next part is just a similarity statement. So we're going to say triangle, we can start the first one ABC. If we do that, we're going to have to name the triangle, the next triangle DEC, right? Angle A corresponds with D, B to E, C to C. So you have to make sure that that's in the correct order. A proportionality statement is just taking all of the corresponding sides and writing them in proportion to one another. So you can see that side AB and DE correspond. You can see that BC and EC correspond. And finally, you can see that AC and DC correspond. So we're simply going to write that in our proportionality statement. We're going to write AB over DE is equal to BC over EC, which is equal to AC over DC. And that's a proportionality statement. And then finally, we're going to find the measure of the flagpole, which is going to be AB, right, in the figure, AB. So we're going to label that X. So we're going to say, write a proportion. We're going to say x over, what does it correspond to? 6 equals, and then we're going to use the two sides that we know the measurements to, 24 over 8. So I'm going to say x over 6 is equal to 24 over 8. X is the height of the flagpole, so we're just going to cross multiply to solve that. So 8 times x is 8x. 24 times 6 is 144. And we're going to divide both sides by 8. So that's going to give us, let's see, 8, I believe 18. 144 divided by 8 is 18. So x equals 18. So we're going to say the height of the flagpole is 18, and it is feet. Feet is the units that we are using here. Whoops, so 18 feet. Okay. I hope that really helps you with the rest of these. Okay, make sure you're not forgetting to do these review questions. Those are good review. All these other ones you should be able to do based on previous examples that I've done as well.